wait, just wait. I know you're thinking, dear God, are you seriously doing another book haul video? But hold on, it's not what you think. This is totally not my fault. I know I say that all the time, but this time I am 100% blameless. Okay, I'm at least 50% blameless. I'm definitely more than 25 and possibly less than 10% blameless, somewhere in that range. But once you hear the circumstances, I think you'll agree that I behaved in a purely rational manner. But first, for all the new viewers who've recently joined the channel and who may be confused by the background, no, I do not live out of my car or in a hotel room. I am back home after going on a 3-week road trip, driving from Phoenix to Pittsburgh and back again. Along the way, I stopped at a couple of bookstores and bought a handful of books. What I meant to say is that I did my part to support small business owners and infuse much needed cash into various local economies. One could go so far as to call it an act of selfless economic patriotism. Don't get me wrong, I'm not saying I'm an American hero. I'll leave that to the mom and pop booksellers who will now be able to feed their families. Anyway, I came back home this past Tuesday afternoon ready to put my book hauling days behind me. But when I got home, what was waiting for me on the kitchen counter but a giant pile of books? But these are not books I bought. Okay, I did order one of them while I was at Pulp Fest, but it relates to one of our Pulp Fest friends, so technically it counts as part of the Pulp Fest hauls. So while I was there, I got to spend some time with Brandon from the Book Report. This was my first time meeting Brandon. I bought tons of books from him online. Our house is littered with the Book Report bookmarks. And in real life, he is a fantastic guy. I love talking with him. I found out that Brandon wrote a novel like 11 years ago. And when he told me the premise, I was just immediately went on Amazon and ordered it. To make it clear, he wasn't trying to push us to buy the book or anything like that. We were just talking about storytelling and writing. I've not read it yet. I'm not going to tell you the whole premise that he told us because I don't know how much of what he told us goes into spoiler territory, but I love the synopsis he gave us, and I wanted to let people know that this book is out there and available. He wrote it under the pen name Cody Adler, and it's called Time Lock. And I will put the Amazon link in the description below. So just wanted to let you know that this is out there. The rest of the books that were waiting for me when I got home were given to me as gifts. So it would be rude of me not to show them off and shout out my appreciation. So first off, Ed Brock, aka Mythologist, sent me a huge box of books. Ed knows that I collect TV tie-in novels, amongst many other things, and I am blown away with what he sent me. Sorry, my camera died on me. Evidently, even it's tired of me doing book hauls. But anyway, Ed Brock sent me, he asked if I had any of the Man from Uncle TV tie-in books, which I did not. I have one Girl from Uncle, but I didn't have any of the Man from Uncle ones. And he didn't just send me some, he sent me every book in the Man from Uncle series. I'm going to show these off pretty quickly because there are quite a few. And by the way, all the books that he sent me are in fantastic condition. Ed obviously takes really good care of his books. So The Man from Uncle, I'm sure people probably know, but it was a spy TV show, I believe on NBC in the 1960s, starring Robert Vaughn and Robert McCullum. And then it spawned the spin-off show with Stephanie Powers, The Girl from Uncle. So this is the first book in the series, The Man from Uncle, written by Michael Avallone. And just look at that condition of those books. And number 2, The Doomsday Affair. This was by Harry Whittington. They had several different authors working on these. This is by John Oram. This is number 3, The Copenhagen Affair. The Dagger Affair. This is by David McDaniel. John T. Philippant. The Mad Scientist Affair. Number 6, The Vampire Affair, written again by David McDaniel. This one's written by Peter Leslie. This is The Radioactive Camel Affair. The Monster Wheel Affair, again David McDaniel. The Diving Dames Affair by Peter Leslie. J. Holly Hunter, The Assassination Affair. I have a few J. Holly Hunter sci-fi novels. The Invisibility Affair by Thomas Stratton. The Mind Twisters Affair, again by Thomas Stratton. Number 13, The Rainbow Affair by David McDaniel. This is by Frederick Davies. This is The Cross of Gold Affair. The Utopia Affair by David McDaniel. Another Peter Leslie. This is The Splintered Sunglasses Affair. The Hollow Crown Affair by David McDaniel. Number 18, The Unfair Fair Affair by Alexander Waverley. The Power Cube Affair by John T. Philippant. Another one, this is The Corfu Affair by Philippant. And this one's by Joel Bernard. This is The Thinking Machine Affair. Number 22, this is The Stone Cold Dead in the Market Affair by John Oram. And the 23rd and final book in the Man from U.N.C.L.E. series is The Finger in the Sky Affair by Peter Leslie. Then he also sent this Man from U.N.C.L.E. tie-in book. This is The ABC of Espionage. Inside Facts on American, British, and Soviet Service. And basically it pretends to be a non-fiction book about the real life inside the various spy organizations. I don't know how much of it is accurate and how much of it is sort of hyperbole for the sake of the tie-in novels, but either way, it looks like fun. I'll have to read it to find out. But then he also sent me the two Girl from U.N.C.L.E. So the Girl from U.N.C.L.E. had 5 TV tie-in novels, but only 2 of those were ever released in the United States. The other 3 were only released as UK versions, but he sent me both of the US ones, which is number 1, which is The Birds of a Feather Affair. This is Stephanie Powers as Agent April Dancer. And then number 2, The Blazing Affair, written by Michael Avallone. I already do have this one, but this was in much nicer condition, so this will replace the one I have. And now that I have all those, I'm going to have to probably try and track down those 3 UK editions that were never released here in the United States. Now, anybody that's watched the channel knows I'm a huge Avengers fan. But he also sent me some Avengers books. I do have all of the Avengers books already, but these are in fantastic shape. So these will probably replace the ones that I have, and then the other ones will be in a upcoming giveaway at some point for anybody who's interested in these. But this is number one, The Floating Game. Number two, The Laugh Was on Lazarus. Sorry. The Passing of Gloria Mundi. Hail Harris. And this was a newer book that was put out by John Peel and Dave Rogers called The Avengers Too Many Targets. Again, I have all of these, but these are in much better shape, so these will all be upgrades for me. Thank you so much, Ed. And I know that I believe it was in the comments, I believe it was Darla, correct me if I'm wrong, who was saying she's hoped that someday I'll do a show all of my Avengers tie-in books, and I will be doing that here in the future. I have a lot of Avengers stuff to show off, but that was everything that Ed gave me. But then Mrs. Allspace, while I was gone, stopped at a couple of thrift shops near us to go book hunting. So she bought me some books. The first one, actually, she bought for Deb, the omnivorous reader. Deb has said how it's hard for her to get Andre Norton out in Australia. So Deb, she picked up Gods and Androids, and it's a very shiny cover for you. This is actually two books in one. This has Android at Arms and Rays of Time in one book. Let me see if I can find the cover there. So it has both those in this one edition. I have those two books individually, so this will go in your Christmas, whatever, your next bundle that comes to you. But then she also got me a couple of books. So one is one I did not have, House of Zeor by Jacqueline Lichtenberg. I thought I had some Jacqueline Lichtenberg already. I believe I do have some now that I got in the road trip haul, but evidently I didn't have anything before that. And she knows to look for stuff that doesn't have a barcode on it. And so she got that. And then she also got F. Paul Wilson, Midnight Mass. Did like love The Keep. This is not, even though it has the same title, this is not the source for the TV show Midnight Mass. They both involve vampires, but that's about the only similarity between them. So even though they both have the same title, this is not the Midnight Mass, but of that one. But it is set in a world where vampires control all of Europe, India, the Far East, and major cities in North and South America. It seems that nothing can stand in their way, and that humanity will become cattle for the harvesting, the source of the blood of life. And I won't read the whole thing, it's long. And then we also collect Roald Dahl. This is, but we didn't have this. This is the best of stories from Over to You, Someone Like You, Kiss Kiss, and Switchblade. And let's see, so that was the gift all. So you would have thought, okay, that's it. But then my wife has had to watch me for the past 3 weeks going book shopping and loading up on books. Meanwhile, her sister gave her a $100 gift certificate for Bookman's. There are two Bookman's locations here in Phoenix, one in Phoenix and one in Mesa. So as a good husband, obviously, I'm going to take her to go book shopping, being she had to suffer through me buying books in front of her for 3 weeks straight. However, Bookman's not only buys and sells books, they also do music, DVDs, and musical instruments. And Mrs. Elspace reminded me that I have a left-handed acoustic electric guitar that has been sitting in its case for 25 years. At some point, I was planning on donating it, and she rightly suggested that I should take it into Bookman's to see if I could get credit for it. So obviously, I did. They gave me quite a bit because it is left-handed guitar, and they are harder to find for them. Um, Now, I could have just held on to that store credit, but then we're already out and about. Why waste more gas increasing our carbon footprint? I mean, technically, I'm helping to save the planet if I just go ahead and do my book shopping there and then. So, I have to find my Bookman's pile. Um, Not that there's more than one pile over here, but I did find some mass markets there, some other ones. We went to both Bookmans. We went to the one in Mesa and the one in Phoenix. And so all of these books were bought on store credit. I didn't spend any actual money on them, and some of them I actually got for free and didn't even use store credit for. I'll explain that when I get to them. But we have The Girl from Frisco, and I do prefer the Bookman's in Mesa to the one in Phoenix because the one in Phoenix doesn't seem to carry, they used to, but anymore they don't have a lot of vintage books. It's mostly newer books and used trade paperbacks, whereas the one in Mesa you can get a lot more. And this is Murder by the Clock by Rufus King, Popular Library. And a Mary Roberts Reinhardt, The State versus Eleanor Norton. And then a more modern Gothic, The Shrieking Shadows of Penporth Island by Sarita Stevens. I don't know this author. I think this is the first Gothic we have from her. It is a newer one, but there is a light on in that window back there. So I don't know if Eric or Nick know of this one or not, or if they have any info on it. And then a couple of sci-fi novels. This is The Guns of Terra 10 by Don Pendleton. This was the fabled gunship, the most powerful weapon ever devised by any civilization. But the mutineers had it. Earth's future hung in the balance. And then this is David J. Scal, who I don't recognize the name. This is purely a cover by. This is Antibodies. Tense and deadly, the images are grotesquely fascinating as man and machine attempt to consummate an unholy union. This is a horrific, compelling, thought-demanding book by Connie Willis. The Statement by Connie Willis. And then we have Beyond Infinity by Robert Spencer Carr. Into the World of the Future. A Charlie Chan novel I did not have. This is The Black Camel by Earl Biggers. Another one I've never heard of before. This is A Place Beyond Man. She was a beautiful earthling torn between an alien love and her planet's salvation. This is The Satan Bug by Ian Stewart. The Satan Bug, Felsie, 7 Days in May. For sheer pace and daredevil style, I vote for the Satan Bug. This is another one I don't know of. Michael Elder, Trapped in the Wrong Century on the Wrong Planet. The Alien Earth. And Dennis O'Neil, The Bite of Monsters. Snake-like aliens ruled the earth. Only one man had the guts to fight back. Beware of the Patriots. Serpy, snake-like invaders. Considered Earthmen, fit only as subjects for weird scientific experiments. And this, another goofy cover by Daniel De Cruz, The Grotto of the Formigons. Look at those guys. I mean, tell me you wouldn't buy that. Okay. Now, I've got more. This is Louis Charbonneau. This is Corpus Earthling. I have a few by this author, but that was new to me. I did pick up a couple of the Edgar Rice Burroughs Barsoom novels. This is the Chessmen of Mars and the Gods of Mars. I particularly like this cover art. This is, I forgot the guy's name. Gino de Achille. I don't know if he did this one as well. Yes, so he did both those. Gino de Achille. And then I have book 2 of Clive Barker's Imagica, but I was missing book 1, so I can finally start on this. And then an E. Doc Smith. This isn't part of the Lensman. This is the Family de Elambert series. It is book 3 in the series. I do not have books 1 and 2, but I like that little tentacled robot guy. The Makeshift Gods by Russell M. Griffin. His quest was for knowledge alone, but the power that came with it changed a world's destiny. Giorgio Smith. Pick these up whenever I see them. This is the Complete Venus Equilateral, which I believe is the name of the ship, and it's I think this is a series of short stories that all are in the same universe. Part of that same ship, I think. And this is Gerald Hatch, The Day the Earth Froze. Now, Bookman's also does one other thing I like, is during the summer they have a program called the Summer of Reading Program. They give you a card, and for each book you buy, they stamp the card, and when you get 10 books, the 10th book is free. Now, normal places, what they would do is they would make that free book the least expensive book, but Bookman's doesn't do that. Bookman's, whatever the most expensive book is, that's your free book. So I bought enough books between these two and the Bookman's that I stopped at in Tucson that I filled up 4 cards altogether, so I got 4 free books, and they were the 4 most expensive books that they had there. So this first one is a biography of Edgar Rice Burroughs, the man who created Tarzan. We'll have to do it never fails when I try to do it this way. I always manage to flip through the pages that have no pictures in them, but I'll do a flip through this because it's impossible to handle up here. It is a big old fatty, but it is loaded with information. And even had this not been for free, they were only charging $10 for this. And I not only did not pay for any of these books, I didn't even use up store credit for that one. The other one that I did not use store credit for is the horror stories of Robert E. Howard. This was also listed for $10 there. I don't think you see it, but it was one of my freebies that I got, and I'll show the table of contents there. My hands are in the way. Okay. So there's a lot of stuff packed in there, and it's also illustrated. So, and then this one was also $10, and this was pretty cool. I'll definitely want to do a flip through this. This is The Faces of Science Fiction with photographs by Patty Parrott, I'm not sure, and an introduction by Gene Wolfe. But this just is a photo book of various authors, and then and then a little blurb from each writer. So this is really hard to do this way. Frank Belknap Long. I'm not going to show that one. Alan Dean Foster. But anyway, it just has, each page has a different vintage sci-fi author and then a little blurb from that author. So that was another one that only $10. And then the most expensive one there that I got for free, it was originally $26.99, and I've been on the lookout for it, and that is Paperbacks from Hell. So this is in brand new condition, and I think everybody knows about this book by now. That shows off a lot of the vintage horror novels of the day. And yeah, so this one didn't cost me money, didn't cost me store credit. It was one of the freebies. One of the reasons why I do love Bookmans. All right, so, well, you would think that that would be it. You'd be wrong, but you'd think it would be. So, while we're at Bookmans, I've said before, we have a lot of Goodwills and thrift stores here in Phoenix. You can't drive more than a few minutes without running into another Goodwill. And as long as we're out and about, and considering again that I had spent 3 weeks book shopping, as a good husband, I took my wife to the various Goodwills to go book shopping there with no intention of buying anything for myself. And I did come across a book which is not for me. I also mentioned that my sister-in-law got my wife that $100 gift card. My sister-in-law is also a big fan of Doctor Who, probably knows more about Doctor Who than anybody I've ever met. And so I saw this book, Doctor Who and the History of the Universe in 100 Objects. It is, see if I can figure out how to show some of the stuff in here, but it's just filled. I'll do a separate, well, no I won't, because I'll be giving this away. But anyway, this is for her. And by the way, I've left all the stickers on these Goodwill and all these books because I'm going to be doing a separate video. I still see a lot of people who talk about how they have trouble getting stickers off of books. So I'm going to show the various methods that I use depending on what kind of book it is, or pulp magazine, etc., on how I get stickers off of books. So that's why I haven't removed any of these before showing them to you, because I'm going to do a separate video on that. That is actually not going to be a book haul. But also, I just want to say, when you see the prices on here, these aren't necessarily the prices we paid. Goodwill has different colored tags that are on sale. They're 50% off. So a lot of the books that you see here, we paid half of whatever the sticker price is on there. Now, while I was there, I also saw this book. Now, I've had a little more luck on this recent road trip, but finding vintage horror novels is really difficult. And then at that same Goodwill, I found this Burnt Offerings. This is the novel that the movie with Karen Black and Oliver Reed were based on. And when I saw this, I immediately thought of Bryan at Bad Taste Books and thought Bryan would really like this. I mean, don't get me wrong, I'm not giving it to him. This is going in my private collection, but you know, they say it's the thought that counts. So technically, I am a really good friend for thinking of him when I bought this. Then, at the next Goodwill, this is technically for me and my wife, because, as I've said, my wife loves all things pirates and highwaymen, and this is The History of Pirates, a nonfiction book in association with the Mariners Museum in Virginia. So that is sort of for both of us. As is, we collect Raphael Sabatini, and we found this was on her list of books to find, and so we got Raphael Sabatini's The Seahawk, so we can cross this one off our list of Sabatini books. And one of the things why we go to so many of these thrift shops, Goodwills, is because you never know what you'll find there. I'll show a quick video clip, but I couldn't believe that I saw this there, and it was for 99 cents. It's Mayhem in B Flat by Elliot Paul. And there's a little damage there in the corner, but other than that, it's in pretty good shape for a book from, this is originally from 1940. This is a 1950 printing. So this is 1950. So this is 76 years old now. And just out of curiosity, like I said, it's 99 cents. Online, well, I'll show you what this goes for online. And I'm not calling out eBay buyers. I understand they're hard to find, but I'm just saying, if you go to enough thrift shops, especially there's so many of them, like I said, here in the valley, you'll be amazed at what you find there. So really, you can't blame me for picking this one up. Rough, Toughened Body. This is a rip-roaring, freewheeling murder yarn about a missing violin, a sharp-shooting lady pianist, an amateur sleuth, a gang of depraved thugs, a violent artist, a gross of deadly tarantulas, kidnappers, gendarmes, drunkards, degenerate street fights, waterfront brawls, chorus girls, coquettes, madams, and girls, dozens of them, all winding up in a neck-breaking, glass-shattering, champagne-drenched free-for-all in a riverfront dive. This sounds bonkers good. There's no way I was passing this up for 99 cents. Okay, the rest of these you might be able to blame me for. This is a Ray Bradbury I did not have. This is A Graveyard for Lunatics. And I picked it up because I love Ray Bradbury and because I did not have it. And I will make no further excuse. As I said, I collect TV tie-in novels. I do have, and it's amazing how many TV shows had tie-in novels that you probably wouldn't think did. I have a mass market TV tie-in for the TV show Bewitched. As far as I knew, that was the only tie-in book ever written for Bewitched, but evidently there's also a middle grade book written, Bewitched the Opposite Uncle. So here we have the Bewitched clan. So this is, I believe, for grade school or middle grade books. I bought a few of these on the trip. You've already seen them in the videos, everything from The Invaders to the Beverly Hillbillies. And this is one I had not heard of. This is also a children's book. This is The Iron Man by Ted Hughes. This is a more modern book, but is, I don't know why it is that every time I say something is illustrated, I can never find the illustrated pages. And then Dinovember's coming up soon. And so I found two Dinotopia books. The first one, and also Dinotopia, The World Beneath. These have, I know you've probably seen these before, but well, you can tell from the cover, they just have beautiful artwork in them. And so those can go on the Dinovember list. Another one that was on our list, we already have the Scarlet Pimpernel in a nicer bound edition, but Mrs. Elspace wanted one in an old mass market edition that had the old school artwork, and lo and behold, we found it at a local Goodwill. It was $2.99, but I can't remember if that was one of the tags that was on sale or not, but either way, even if it was $30 for, and I will get that sticker off there, and of course these horrible Goodwill stickers that they put right on the spine, which is the weakest point of the book. The worst place that you can put a sticker is on this across the spine. But I will show you in an upcoming video how to get those off with minimal, if any, damage. And this is If the Stars Are Dogs by Gregory Benford and George Eklund. I had not heard of that one. I know I have books by both the authors. I also have books by this author, but I did not have this one. This is The Artificial Man. And I think this is the last Goodwill book. This is The Lives of the Writers. Comedies, Tragedies, and What the Neighbors Thought. And these are sort of amusing little anecdotes about different writers. The Brontes. And Laura Neale Hurston. Cervantes, one of my favorites. Don Quixote, one of my all-time favorite novels ever. All right. So, you might be thinking, well, Rob, thank God that's over. Did I mention that right down the street from these Goodwills in Mesa is a half-price books? We're going to be here for a while. This is The Gods of Foxtrot. This was a total cover by David Levy. But I do love that artwork on there. Frozen alive of their own free will, they were reborn into an unimaginable future. Sorry, I had to make sure the cat didn't accidentally turn the mic off. And this is one I've never heard before. This is a Gothic by Charity Blackstock. This is A House Possessed. And Gothics is another thing that me and Mrs. Allspace collect. This will end up in Mrs. Allspace's collection, but it has the word pirate in it. And if it has the word pirate, it comes home with us. The Etruscan warrior and lover, sage and pirate, he defied both gods and men. And also, another thing that I collect, I might as well just say I collect everything at this point, shouldn't I? But I specifically collect H.G. Wells, including H.G. Wells non-science fiction. I have this one also in ebook, but I did not have a physical copy of Tunnel Bungay. And it was only $1.99. This is another one that will go in my wife's collection. But these are, all these swashbuckling books are books that we both read, but she has a specific collection of them. This is The Burnished Blade, Passion, Intrigue, and High Adventure in the Exotic East. And there is some swashbuckling going on there. And then this one, I did pay a little more for this. I believe I paid $10. I don't remember now. But I don't remember what I paid, to be honest. But Judith Merrill, I have a lot of her stuff in different collections, different anthologies along with different writers. And I have some of the stuff that she co-wrote with people like C.M. Kornbluth. But I have never seen anything of her own out there in the wild. So this is the best of Judith Merrill. And I was super excited to see this sitting at Half Price Books. Now, this next one is, again, a gift for somebody else. This is a gift for Deb, the Omnivorous Reader. She was looking for Roberta Gellis's sci-fi novels. Roberta Gellis wrote mostly historical romances and historical sort of mythological stories. But she wrote 3 sci-fi novels, 2 of them under the name Max Daniels. I found the other one for Deb. I already have all of them. I found the other one for Deb during this road trip called the Star Guardians, or the Space Guardians. And the other one is called Off-World. I found it. It is a little bit banged up, but for $1.99, I thought that was a pretty good deal. So, Deb, you will now have both The Space Guardian and Off-World by Max Daniels, a.k.a. Roberta Gillis, coming your way. I did also find another Gothic. This is The Pretty Ones by Dorothy Eden. I have to do that because the sticker is covering up her name. And this is The Sword of Lancor by Howard L. Corey. Heed this voice from outer space, or else. This is Alan Dean Foster, who I like. This is one I did not have of his called Shadow Keep. Evidently, this is based on the Trillium computer game. I'm not a huge gamer, so I don't know about Trillium computer game, but I do like Alan Dean Foster. And I believe this one is one I also got for my wife. This is Stand Into Danger. Because, not of all ships. I don't think these guys are pirates, but there appears to be some swashbuckling going on. This is one I've never heard of before. Dennis Arcaro, The Man in the Dark Suit, a futuristic mystery. When Boss Coggins, that celebrated reporter and under-the-covers investigator, saved Muffy Bernstein, the far-from-helpless heiress of enormous proportion, he became unwittingly embroiled in a convoluted controversy. Pursuing an invisible mystery man hounded by tumbleweed people, he invaded men in large pink rabbit suits, outwitted galactic gossip columnists, outfoxed pubescent alien beauties, and even outrun the formidably gorgeous space pilot merely, stumbling over brilliant deductions, falling into incisive truth, slipping in and out of dangerous situations with incredible ease. For Boss Coggins, it's all in a day's work and the pursuit of money, lust, and the space-age way. And a Frank Herbert, I did not have direct descent on a forgotten planet called Earth. And this is book one of Caverns. I'm not familiar with this series, The Journeys of McGill Van, in which the search for the far being begins with a gulp. And a Kate Wilhelm I did not have. This is Juniper Time. Okay, and then the last place we went was in Mesa, a bookstore called the Book Maze, where I picked up H. Warnerman, The King of the World's Edge. Look at those guys. At first I saw this and thought I was picking it up for my wife. I thought maybe it was a pirate sea book, but then I saw these guys and went, no, this is going in my collection. And what was funny is I saw Jake doing his, at Pulp Mortem, doing his live book haul, and I was watching his book haul as I was in the book maze looking for books. And I had just put this book in my basket when he showed his book. This is Metropolis by Thea von Harbo. This is the novelization of the original movie Metropolis. Or I should say the inspiration for the movie, I guess. The Leaves of Time by Neil Barrett Jr. War explodes across the timelines, and only one man of Earth can stop the alien invasion. And Yendo Binder, Secret of the Red Spot. I have a few Binder novels, but I did not have this one. John Lymington, A Sword Above the Night. 58 minutes, 57, 56. 10 people at the inn went on with their usual routine, fighting, loving, practicing their little lies, evasions, and pretensions. The 11th guest was different. He knew that each minute ticking away brought them closer to unimaginable horror when the things from outer space landed, and there was no way to escape. This is one I've never heard of before. This is 43,000 Years Later by Horace Kuhn. I have heard the name Horace Kuhn before. This has some strapping paper across there. I am going to also attempt to get that off of there, and I will show you how I do that in a future video. Or I could completely ruin the book and show you me ruining the book in a future video. This is Frank Belknap Long. It was The Day of the Robot. And Bookman's books are a little more expensive than I usually pay, but they also have books there that I don't usually see. Um, Read de Run, Split Image. They found an identical Earth, with one exception, a woman. And then the last book that I got is a book that I recently acquired, but now I also have a reading copy of it as well, which is awesome, which is Super Baby by Felix Mendelssohn Jr. So now this one's a little more spinely than the other one that I got from somewhere. It turns out I found out that almost every person on BookTube has this book, with the exception of Jake at Pulp Mortem, who seems to have misplaced his somewhere. But anyway, it's so nice now to have a reader copy as well. I will get Jake's original. This one's a little more banged up than the one Jake gave me. I don't care about that because I repair books anyway, so I will return the pristine copy to Jake at our next Pulp Fest. Um, as long as I have a copy, I'm happy. Um, so that is everything. I swear the next video will not be a book haul. And we all know I'm a man of my word. Thanks for watching.